Well, welcome everyone to the first Business Fusion event in Singleton. The Business Centre has been hosting Business Fusion events in Newcastle for the last few years now, and so this is the first one that we're having in Singleton. We're really excited to be here. Before I begin today, I'd like to acknowledge the Wonnarua people, traditional custodians of the land in which we travel through and work across today, and pay our respects to their elders, past, present and future. For those who don't know me already, my name is Lisa Harpley. I'm a business advisor, mentor and trainer with the Business Centre, and my passion and speciality is in digital marketing and social media management. So all the cool stuff, basically. I like to be able to help empower businesses in achieving their digital goals, learning new skills and promoting their businesses. At the Business Centre, we are a community-invested organisation that has been responding to the needs of entrepreneurs, businesses and governments for more than 36 years. We're a not-for-profit organisation with the sole purpose of creating sustainability and jobs, businesses and urban and rural economies. Our strength has been built on our ability to develop long-term relationships, listen and respond to our community while adapting to a continually changing business environment. We deliver experience-led mentoring, education and connections to achieve our customer and community goals. We're all about creating sustainable economies and resilient communities, which is what we want to do in Singleton. So I'd like to introduce Rachel Thornton. Rachel is a producer and director at Thorny Vision. Rachel is a highly experienced and versatile professional in the field of television and documentary production. As a producer, director and cinematographer, Rachel has developed a genius for creating intimate and comfortable atmosphere that allows her to capture precious and powerful moments on camera. Rachel's ability to connect with people helps them feel at ease and discover authentic stories. That's what sets her apart in her field. This talent enables her to create content that resonates deeply with the audience. A career that spans over 2 decades and has seen Rachel evolve from a news camera woman, an editor, to a journalist who writes and presents her own stories. She has worked as a producer, director and cinematographer across various genres including documentary, entertainment TV, reality TV and current affairs. Rachel's dedication to her craft is evident in her work. She has received recognition for her efforts on her own award-winning documentary production company, Thorny Vision. Beyond her own projects, Rachel has broadened her scope to support fellow small business owners to find and share their own stories in a compelling, authentic way. Her commitment to boosting confidence underscores her passion for storytelling and connecting with people through any screen. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Quite the bio.
It was great, very impressive, and you're local, so
yeah,
that's incredible.
I live in Wollombi, so a little neighbouring town down the road. Have you guys spent any time in Wollombi?
Lots of time.
Great.
I'm only up the road, so to speak, in Cessnock.
Great. Well, it's really...
I did a bit of the animal rescue after the bushfires, the regeneration, planting, like the putting out fruit and veg.
Oh, yeah, right.
Fantastic.
Amazing. God, that was a really tough time, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
It regenerated quite quickly.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely inspiring. And that's... I moved to Wollombi during the fires, and so we had obviously the fires and then floods that decimated the community again and again, and COVID, as we all keep reminding ourselves of the last 5 years. It's been an absolute mess, really.
Yeah.
In the community where I am, there's lots of small business owners. Accommodation businesses are the biggest, the highest number of businesses. We've got 99 accommodation businesses in the Wollombi Valley. And I watched lots of inspiring individuals really struggle and really suffer and close their doors. And I was hearing people that I looked up to and I see as mentors saying, if it rains tomorrow, I'm closing for good. And I was really, I'm really involved in, like I have lots of family in the community, and I was moved to try to work out how I could help. It's 2023, social media is such a huge part of our world, and there's so much we can get from social media as small business owners. So I started working out what it is we do in television and transferring and translating those skills in a way that we can share them with small business owners to share their stories online and connect really authentically and deeply with customers. So in television, we have small crews working together to tell stories that hook millions of people. We tell stories that people become obsessed with. We create characters that people fall in love with genuinely. And, you know, over the years, the younger generations probably don't remember it so much, free-to-air television, where you would be like, right, 6:30, I have to be on the couch at 6:30, and you commit your time to come back and follow these stories. So what is it that we do in television that creates and shares really heartfelt, meaningful, authentic stories that hook millions of people? What are we doing that we can share with small business owners in places like Singleton and the Wollombi Valley and country towns all around Australia who don't have access to a lot of foot traffic? How can we help those businesses thrive, and in turn the communities thrive? And when small businesses are thriving, I believe the ripple effect through the whole community is real, is very real. Families, yeah, everyone benefits. Wonderful. So that's my
Your story.
Back of your bushfire thing. That's how I ended up doing stuff with small businesses.
So Rachel, what is, probably obvious for this topic today, but what is storytelling in business?
Interesting. I actually don't think storytelling in business is an obvious thing. It is for some people, and particularly if you spend a lot of time on social media, maybe you understand storytelling in a different way. But storytelling is, if we start with social media, storytelling is every single post that you share, day after day, week after week, year after year, builds your story. And that becomes your story. So in a small business, your brand, your marketing, your customer service, storytelling is the umbrella that encompasses a whole lot of departments within your business. Storytelling is the essence of your business. Your story is who you are and why you do what you do. Your story is the energy behind your business. It's what connects you with your customers on a human level. So the humanity in your business is your business story. So it's not just branding, and it's not just marketing, and it's not just the content that you're creating to put on your social media pages, but it's the energy in your business. If you're an accommodation provider, you've got bricks and mortar, that's not the business. That's not the pillowcases, it's not the welcome mats, it's not the candles that you make and sell or the wine that you're producing and selling. It's people are attracted to you because of who you are and why you do what you do. And you may not be the face of your business, but your energy and your why is certainly like seeped into all of the different departments. Even accounting, I believe, has a really, all of it is affected by your story, which is who you are and why you do what you do.
We talked about this quite a lot the other day. We're like, it's just the vibe of it. And if you've ever seen The Castle, it's quite relevant in that. It really is just the vibe of your business. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Daryl Carrigan.
Come again anytime, Daz.
Why is storytelling so important in a brand?
Storytelling for business is critical because people decide whether they need you or want you I'll say that again. People decide whether they need your product or service or want your product or service because of your story, the story that you're telling.
Absolutely. How does television production relate to business owners?
So I touched on this a little bit earlier around how powerful social media is. So these days you can share with millions of people right now and connect with millions of people across a whole lot of platforms for free. And if you can work out exactly how to do that well and differentiate between posts and stories and content that doesn't land compared with stuff that does, then that's where the magic happens. And that's really powerful. And I don't care who you are, what your business is, what your product or service is. Doesn't matter how dull someone else might think it is or how out of place you might feel on camera, if that's how you want to start creating content. If you have a heartbeat, then you have a story that will connect with other humans. So what was the question?
How does television production relate to business?
So I talked about before about people connect with people. So there's a few techniques in television. There's a really, really cool thing that happens in TV. Have you guys ever watched a television show where you've become, like a drama or something you've become really maybe a little bit addicted to, or you really enjoy it and you come back for more, and maybe you've watched more than a few episodes, you've watched a few series, and there's a character that you quite relate to, and then you start to feel like you know them personally, like that character in that show could be actually a friend of yours, and if you saw them on the street, you might accidentally walk over and say, hey, how you going, and hug them or something. That is, it's called the mere exposure effect, and it's something that we use in television. Consistency is king. So as a business owner, how amazing would it be to create that connection with your customers or your clients, people who you've never met before, feel like they know you personally because they see you regularly enough. So the mere exposure effect is all about consistency, but it's also about authenticity, so being very real. So the more you understand your story and the more clarity you get with your story, sitting down and working out who you are and why you do what you do, means that the posts, the content, the advertising, the marketing, the conversations that you have with clients in the shop front, the conversations you have over Zoom, the conversations and the stories you tell at the pub they land and they become worth telling. So getting clarity around who you are and why you do what you do, and then consistently show up in that way, people will see you. You have a simple story, it's very clear, and every time they know what to expect. They know who you are, they know what to expect, they know what kind of stuff you're going to offer. If they like you, they'll keep watching. If they don't like you, don't worry, they won't keep watching. They'll see you and quick spool on, and then the algorithms you won't see that person's face again because you haven't spent any time with them. But that's the mere exposure effect, and that's how powerful social media can be. There's lots of people that I can think of on my social media channels where absolutely I'd accidentally hug them in the street if I saw them.
I have. I went to a hairdresser in Sydney, and I've been following their story on TikTok for ages, and I thought, I know, I'm going to get my hair done while I'm there. And I walked in and I hugged this poor man.
Was he a bit stiff?
I think he's probably used to it. But I was like, oh my God, I'm so
hugged you
sorry.
back.
Yeah, but I was
warm.
like, wait, that didn't seem like an authentic thing to do with a stranger. And then I realised I obviously feel like I know him way more than I actually do, which is zilch. Anyway, we had a good laugh over it while he was doing my hair. He did a great job. And I felt a bit like struck by fame almost with this TikTok star doing my hair.
Yeah.
It was quite a surreal moment.
And it's not just TikTok, TikTok is a powerful one because it's video, so it's very dynamic and deep and rich and all, full of story. But Instagram, Facebook, obviously YouTube, The thing is, you build, when people become familiar with you, they obviously like you because they're coming back to watch you again, and they become familiar, but then you're building trust. They trust you, and you become their preferred brand in that industry. Now, sometimes people will follow you and they don't necessarily want to buy from you, and that's different to someone who's following you because they like you, but also because that you become their preferred brand. Before we go any further, can I find out what industries you guys are from? Do you want to tell us?
Audio-visual.
Audio-visual, so you sell products?
More of an installation, but we do sell some products.
Ah, okay.
Handmade and manufacturing.
Say that again?
Handmade and manufacturing. In my case, it's specific to knitting and spinning, hand dyeing yarn.
Oh, I love that. Great.
So I've got a lavender farm, so kind of agriculture and farming, but also distillation of essential oil and then making products with that oil.
Oh, fantastic. You don't have to share if you don't want to.
No, I will. I'm actually just finishing one of the business selling programs right now in hopes of opening up a fruit and veg shop here in Sydney.
Oh my gosh. That very cool, diverse bunch of business owners to be.
Well, it's registered, so I guess.
High five. I think I get really excited about small business. I think that small business owners are a special breed. Inspiring people, enthusiastic people, passionate people, and you're selling a product or a service for a reason. You're in audio-visual, and some people think, oh no, I ended up in this because I just ended up here, but there is a reason you didn't go to a different industry or a different product or service. You have a connection with that, and it's passionate about what you do. So that's cool. And how many of you are on social media with your brand? Yep. And how many love social media and are really keen to step it up? Who's posting every day? Who's posting every week? Oh, really? Who's posting every week? And who's posting photographs? Who's posting videos?
Yeah, sometimes.
So what are you posting photos?
But I'd really like to find more different photos or more from where they're installing, but it's just then you that privacy thing as well. So I've taken photos from inside my house.
Yeah. Okay. There's ways we can work around that.
Yeah.
Exciting. Okay.
Right. So, as a business owner, how do we find our own stories?
So this is the work, and it's the fun stuff, but it's also actually a little bit hard doing this. It took me a long time to work this out for myself in my small business. In television, in small business, we love to jump into the fun stuff. So, head straight out to the lavender bushes, smell them, crunch them up, play with the scents, play with the oils. Being in the shop, I don't know if you're going to be growing fruit or presenting it or selling it or chopping it up or wherever you are in your bit, actually doing the act of sewing and doing the installations and getting your head around the technology. Getting into that stuff is why we do it, why we do what we do often. But to step right back and get some real serious clarity around who we are and why we do what we do and why we ended up in this space is really important. So in television, for me, I'm a director and I spend a lot of time behind the camera. That's where my sweet spot is. Being out in the field, right next to a camera, talking to people, getting their story. That's when I'm in the flow. That's, for me, why I do what I do, and I love it, absolutely love it. But if we were to jump straight to that point in television, the story, we wouldn't, where's the clarity around the story? Where's the flow? Where's the structure? We've got huge crews. We all need to be on the same page. We need to tailor it to certain audiences. you have to put all the work in. So it's like 70% of the work is done in pre-production. There's a lot of work done in production and a heap in post, but most of the important stuff is in pre-production. So for a small business owner, working out what your story is, which is how do you find your story?
Yeah, how do you find it?
So how do you find your story? When you have your business hat on, so the professional you, figure out 3 story points. And you need to write it down if you don't have a pen and paper or your phone on you. 3 story points about who you are and why you do what you do. So when you're loving your work, when you're in that genius zone, when you're with the lavender, or maybe when you're selling the lavender and you see the look on someone's face when they smell it and buy it and take it home or gift it. Why do you do what you do? And this, whatever you write down now might change tomorrow and might change in 6 months from now. The more authentic this can be, the more effective it will be. So for me, what's my story? I'm fascinated with people and their story. Absolutely fascinated with people and their story. I'm obsessed with being behind a lens. I'm always filming, whether it's at a party or whether it's for work or at home with the kids or my dog or whatever. Like, I'm just capturing life, and I love the beauty that I can capture and play with from behind the camera. And I'm really inspired by the great outdoors. Really inspired by Mother Nature and the great outdoors, which means I often end up in country places. So fascinated by people and their story, obsessed with being behind a lens, and I'm really inspired by Mother Nature, the great outdoors. So what does that mean for me and my story when I'm sharing it as a small business? When you see me on social media, I will most probably have a camera in my hand, because that's when I'm most comfortable. That's when I'm in the flow, in the zone. That's when I've got my professional hat on. You'll most probably see me talking with another person or shooting someone, capturing their story. And you'll most probably see me in a country setting. So every time people see me or my business, that's what they're going to expect. That's what they'll expect. And I need to deliver on that. I know when I first started working out what my story is, it was really overwhelming, because it's like, well, I'm a mother. Is that my story? Is that part of it? I've travelled the world. Is that my story? I'm a dog lover. I see lots of dog lovers online. Should that be my story? So, and because it is about being human, it's about bringing the humanity to your business. Write it all down, get it all out of your head and onto a bit of paper, and mull over it for hours, weeks, months, years, and it'll find its place and it'll land. Another good technique is to ask your family what they think your 3 story points are. So from the outside looking in, your friends, also some customers and clients. And that's actually really helpful, because we don't see ourselves from the outside, we see ourselves from the inside looking out. So if you can get really clear on your 3 story points as a business, even if you're not the face of your business, it still works. If you're not this works really well for a personal brand. So if you are the person behind your brand or in front of your brand, that technique works really well, but it also works for businesses that don't have a human face for their business. For example, we were talking about the Wollombi Tavern. I always encourage people to down the personal brand road, and I'll tell you why in a second, but not all businesses work like that. Like the Wollombi Tavern doesn't need its own face. The Wollombi Tavern has its own vibe, right? Yeah, that's right. So the spirit, it has its own spirit. It has its own energy and its own persona.
Where else can you buy those jugs?
Yeah.
Dr. Judd's Jungle Juice.
Yeah,
yes.
the jugs. You can't get those anywhere else.
Dr. Judd's Jungle Juice. Well, I thought, I kind of wrote down 3 story points that I thought would work for the Wollombi Tavern. Historical, traditional, it's a traditional pub. It's historical. It's got lots and lots of beautiful stories from history with human faces. It's traditional as far as an Aussie pub goes. It's got the big verandas. It's got the classic pub bar. Serves beer. You'll always see tradies and farmers in there. That's a bit traditional. It's not, you don't necessarily see young people bopping and drinking vodka cruises, or I'm not sure what young people
I don't know
drink
either.
anyway. That's what we drank when we were little. Yeah, so it's a traditional country style pub, and it's also live music is its big thing. Like, it's not really a sporting pub, although it does show sport. So the Wollombi pub, so when you see a post from Wollombi pub with the current owners, that's its story.
And resilient, because they have the flood level.
Yeah. There you go.
And it doesn't, they have them marked. And
That's
they
true.
come back every time.
So Dr. Jer's Jungle Juice is a strong character, is a strong story point, as well as the resilience. I was in that pub when the floodwaters were up to here, and I was wading around rescuing. I actually didn't rescue any alcohol.
That's a shame.
I know. I was like, what? I got the till.
Right, the important
things, yeah. And there was snakes, and it was really full on.
Scary.
And they shared all of that on their social media. They shared everyone putting the jugs up at the top shelves. So
Yeah.
they wouldn't reach the
Didn't the
rooftop.
management also change hands?
During that time, they
Yeah.
did. They sold.
They'd had enough.
Yeah.
Can't blame them.
So, Rachel, what would you say is the best way to share your story?
Video.
That was easy. Next.
Video is definitely the best way to share your story. And I'm not biased because that's where I've come from, but I'm totally biased because that's what I love. But if you're a business owner, you want to be seen, I imagine. If you're a business owner, you want your business to be seen. So to invite someone into your world through words, they have their place. That's newspapers, magazines, LinkedIn maybe. What's that one? I'm not on it. One of the first newspaper journalists use it a lot. Anyway. Twitter.
X now.
I know.
Yeah.
What?
Funny how
They've rebranded.
Their
I'll catch
name
you
is-
up. Yeah.
So there's a place for words, there's a place for audio. Some people like to record their voice, which actually works really well for some people who don't want to be seen. Recording their voice. You can record your face and then just take the sound out and put pictures over it. I mean, that gets all a bit complicated. Very simply, video is a fabulous way, a very easy way, without overwhelming you. I can tell you some ways to make it easy to invite people through the screen and into your world. And we're talking about social media. Also, the algorithms love it. And the algorithms are most definitely our friends. So if you're scrolling on social media, or some of your customers are scrolling and there's a video, you'll slow down over that piece of content, spend a bit more time on that piece of content. You might even hit play, and the algorithm's going, oh, this is good content. We'll show this piece of content to more people. Is there anything else you want to say about video on social media?
No, I mean, it's that content that makes you stop. It's, I think, 80% more engaging, stats say. So video content is definitely where it's at.
And it's taken a little while for social media to get to that point. Like, it did start out with, we get memories from 10 years ago, and it's just like people writing words. It's like, God, that's so weird. Why are people just writing words?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden people are sharing photos, lots more photos. And now, when I see a photo, I'm like, oh, very simply, it's kind of a missed opportunity, I feel. Like, if you're about to take a photo of something, like if you've got someone's wiring, I apologise if I get your industry wrong, but you're setting up some audio-visual system in someone's home, and you might be plugging the plugs in or something to the points somewhere, and you take a photo, and that would have been okay a few years ago, but now, instead of taking a photo, just flick onto video mode and hold it still and capture the movement. You don't have to speak. You don't have to put your face in or put anyone's faces in. You don't have to, the house doesn't need to be recognisable, but just put it into video mode. If you want, you can put some music behind it, but actually sometimes just the authentic sounds of the is quite cool. And it can be 4 seconds.
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways to make a huge, like a really diverse styles of video content. But keep it simple to start with, and rather than taking a photo, even if it's the front of someone's house, if you're going to take a photo, just take a little video. You might even go like this, up the street and back, what's down that way, and that's it. Like, if you were going to take a photo, make it a video, and that's almost just for the algorithm.
What do businesses need to share their story?
As a business owner, to share your story, you need to know very, very clearly who you are and why you do what you do. It's really important that you know what story that you're sharing. It's really important. Because if you start, it's kind of a bit of a, it's not a waste of time, because you're trialling different things and you're kind of throwing spaghetti against a wall and seeing what sticks and what are people engaging with. But if you stop everything, sit down and work that out first, it'll be much easier to follow, for your customers to find you and for you to actually create content on story and on brand. And you need a phone with a video option. That's the other thing you need. And maybe a social media account. But it sounds like you all have social media accounts.
And some good lighting doesn't hurt anyone, does it?
Lighting's great. Lighting's very helpful. What social media platforms are we using? Who's using Facebook? Instagram? More Instagram? More Instagram?
I share more of my personal stories on my, on my story thing on Instagram, and then I'm more selective with what I share on Facebook. As far as story, if I even will share it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's on TikTok? Thank goodness. Who?
I'm on it, but I don't share it.
Okay. TikTok's kind of like a big television network. Like it's actually, and this thing we're getting closer and closer to having the power of TV shows and TV producers. I mean, you don't need the money to do it. You just need to have a heartbeat and a little bit of confidence, or someone who's going to give you a kick up the bum and help you to be brave. TikTok's pretty amazing. And the best thing about TikTok that I love is that I wasn't on it and didn't have an account, so that when I started an account, I didn't have any followers, so I didn't care what I shared. Like, there was no shame. I was like, oh, whatever, and just started. I'm very new to TikTok myself, but I really love the potential that it has, because I don't know anyone on it, and slowly people are finding me. Like, oh.
Yeah, you build a tribe on there. What I like about it is that it's authentic, and a lot of people who are super successful on TikTok are usually just everyday people with a very clear story or very clear idea on who they are, and that's what makes them really popular and engaging and makes you want to follow them along for more. And there's a saying on TikTok, I'm just an idiot with a phone, and that's all it takes. Like, they've got an idea, they've got a path of type of content they want to produce, and they've got their phone, and that's really all it takes.
TikTok is like a license to, it's actually a bit out of control, which is a good feeling, because it means people they don't have to look great like you do on Instagram. You don't have to be professional like you might, or, like you might feel like you need to be on Facebook so much. You can really just rough it and succeed. Which is kind of relieving. Yeah. There's actually something about, so observational documentary television shows, that's my favourite thing to do. Observational documentary. So some examples are The Force. So I've sat in the back of a cop car for years filming everything that happened. So you film life as it plays out, you film a whole lot of life, and then you pluck out the good bits and turn it into a television show, and you might massage the good bits into even better bits. And so there's an intensive care unit, which is hanging out in the intensive care unit in the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne, following the lives of the Not so much the people who are intubated and in comas, but their family and their friends and the doctors and the surgeons following life. And it's a technique that is something that I would encourage small business owners to use, because with minimal effort, you can show people, your customers, what you do, and you can share your expertise and your passion and your skill sets by simply filming yourself when you are in the heart of your business. So if you were out in the lavender, if you're out in the, is it a lavender field, paddock? In the lavender paddock, you might have a POV, a point of view shot. So you're looking at the lavender and you're checking for insects and you're checking for new sprouts or any diseases, or what's the weather like today, or do we need watering, or whatever it is. So just like personal, real invitations into your world. I love to people love that. People follow people. People don't follow big brands anymore. Like in the 80s, 90s and the noughties, people were following Nike, Coca-Cola, big brands.
I follow her.
Oh, do you?
I follow her.
What's your business now? What's your...
It's Wine Country Lavender.
Oh, lovely. I'll be following you. People don't follow big brands and logos so much anymore, if at all. People follow people. So we know the biggest brands in the world. We know who the founder of the biggest brands in the world is, whether it's Zuckerberg or whether it's Steve Jobs or whether it's Elon Musk. And you can decide whether you want to be part of that brand or dabble in their product or service based on who they are as a person and their ethics and their morals in the world and how they contribute or take away from this planet. So that's where we're at now, people following people. So, yes.
What top 5 tips for business owners would you like to share? I ask the hard questions here.
What time have we got? What time is it now? Okay, so what time do we start? How much time have we got?
We've plenty.
Okay,
Yep.
So plan ahead is the big one, and I've touched on that to begin with. Stop what you're doing, whatever you're doing on social media now. Not saying that it's wrong or right or bad or whatever. It's just take some time out in your business to have a think about your story and really put some structure and strategies and plans in place for going forward. As small business owners, we all wear so many hats, and sometimes all of the hats, mostly all of the hats, and often we're chasing our tail and reacting in life, like reacting in business as a phone call, an email or whatever, and we're just chasing another sale. But knowing your story, knowing your 3 story points, understanding who you are and why you do what you do, doesn't just connect you genuinely with customers and clients. It also streamlines other decisions that you're making in your business. So it can unlock huge potential around your lifestyle as well. So the decisions that you make around stock. So if you know what your 3 story points are and what the direction or the story is of your business, next time you're choosing stock for your shop front, it will guide that. Like, do I want that product? I'm not going to say yes. I'm going to say no, because it doesn't actually fit into one of the 3 story points. And you're not tempted or pulled and pushed and by interruptions or by, glimmering lights or, fancy sequins or something. You know what your 3 story points are, and that determines the type of customers you choose or the clients that you take on. If I have a client that asks, like I had someone asked me to film the real estate videos, and I was like, oh, that could be good, yeah. Let me think about it. And I didn't know I didn't know what to say. Like I thought, well, it's money, why would I say no? But it doesn't align with my 3 story points, so I said no, and that felt really good, right? This is who I am, and this is why I do what I do, because I'm inspired by people, not so much homes, although you can always talk yourself into anything and make things relate. But, there's a beautiful farmhouse in the country, beautiful mountain hills. So, so stop and plan is the tip number one. And the second tip is define your why. And that's your why. That's what we've talked about a lot. That's getting really clear on your story points. Understand yourself. And you can actually get really, it can really help in your personal life too. For me, the people I've worked with, understanding who you are with your business hat on, the professional you is very helpful in business, but also in life. Like I have kids and dogs and parents, and I like to travel, and it's like, well, I get very excited about all sorts of stuff. So where do I draw the line? Well, really, ultimately, what's my mission and my purpose, and how do I want my life to kind of play out? What's my personal story? And you can find a sense of ease and flow with that as well, which is pretty cool. So define your why. Number 3 is embrace video. If you haven't done much video, try not to be overwhelmed, because there is so many different styles of video content out there. For a lot of businesses, I think the ob-doc stuff is quite cool. With what you do, so just tell me so I don't get the words right again. Is it knitting? No.
Yeah.
Yep, knitting.
Spinning, hand dyeing.
Ah, what's your name?
Jenny.
Okay. So there's so many cool video things that you could do, and you're talking about like spinning wool with a spinning wheel, like just setting the camera up.
Purchase, yeah. You would divide it.
And make yarn.
Are you at Wattle Ponds, James?
Sorry?
Are you located at Wattle Ponds?
Wattle ponds.
At Wattle Ponds?
We can come back to question time if you like, and we can have a deeper discussion
Yeah.
about it, one-on-one.
So for example, with what you're doing with this video, embracing video, setting the camera up and just catching the spin, and then setting the camera up and catching this part, and then setting the camera up and then seeing it, like seeing the wool come out of the bag, and then seeing the ball being created. And so that's 1, 2, 3, there's like, about half a dozen shots that you might just set up and let run for 10 seconds each one, and then cut 3 seconds of each one together. And that's a really immersive, I wouldn't say it's ob-doc so much as more of like a POV style video, point of view. Mm-hmm. That's quite creative. It's sensory, and I want to hear the wool, I want to hear the wheels spinning, and I want to hear your fingers doing this. And so that's one type of video that you can do, similar to what yours, getting without knowing exactly what you're doing, but there's all sorts. So that's one POV. There's no music, it's just hearing it, little snippets of your world. There's video diaries. So it's like today, you might, with your fruit and veg, today we've got a massive delivery from a local plum grower. He's not actually a farmer, he's just got plenty of plum trees in his backyard. Look at these baskets of plums. Thanks so much, John. Check them out. Oh my God, look at this one. Oh, can't help myself. That's like a video diary. Come and get them today. They're fresh, they won't last. So pointing, video diary style. And then there's the ob-doc, which might be someone filming you as you're running around with a forklift lifting up boxes of oranges and apples and whatever, or the pickers picking, and that's the ob-doc style with little comments here and there, and you got to keep trying and practicing different things. And there's tools online that can help you learn different video skills, copy what other people are doing, but embrace video. Keep it simple is number 4. Keep everything really simple. If you imagine that you're sharing your story with a 3-year-old, that's what works. We're so overwhelmed in this world with content and influencers and media, and I just want it to be simple. I don't want to have to sit and struggle. If you don't catch my attention the first second, I'm gone. There's a lot of industry jargon. I imagine there's lots of industry jargon in all of your industries. Try to avoid it. Really basic language, and actually give value. So you're teaching a 3-year-old wonderful things about who you are, why you do what you do, your skills, your expertise. When I say, like you're talking to a 3-year-old, I don't mean dumb it down or keep it dumb. I just mean still you can still educate and entertain, but you don't have to go very far down to the intellectual path to create your content. So keep it simple. Avoid jargon. And then consistency, which comes back to the mirror exposure effect. Consistency with your 3 story points, making sure that every time you create content, it leans into 1 or more of your 3 story points, and post regularly. There's a marketing statistic, isn't there, where if someone has watched your video 5 times, then psychologically they
Feel like they know you.
They feel like they know you. So that's all it takes. So there's, like when you hear about Facebook funnels and social media funnels, if someone watches your video, you can set it up to send them another video of yours. So that there's like a funnel in the background, so you send them a 3rd and a 4th, and by the time they see your 5th video, that video will specifically be a more salesy video, or have like a call to action, or contact me, because by the 5th video, the 5th time they've seen you in a video, there's a much stronger connection, and they feel like there's trust there. Don't ever feel like you should sell at all on social media. Just by sharing who you are and sharing your passion, sharing part of your humanity through the screen, is what your customers and clients are looking for. Connection is everything. Your story, the whole purpose of your story, is to connect you with your customer through a screen. And it's a cold and it's a harsh digital world, until you realise that we're all humans on either side of the screen. Messy, complicated, hilarious, passionate, emotional human beings.
I'm very complicated. So Rachel, what type of businesses do you work with?
Well, I think it doesn't matter what product or service you're selling at all. It makes no difference what product or service you're selling. If you have a heartbeat, then you have a story, and I can help.
I guess people willing to share that story and dig deep for it.
People who are ready to brave up.
Yeah.
People who are ready to brave up and share their story. People who might be confused as to what their story is.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rachel. It's been really insightful. What we might do is finish up with the webinar, and then we can go into some more questions and question time from there. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And smashed it.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome. Thank you.